And yeah, it's not very dynamic, not mobile, at least, prior to any sort of psionic projection play, and it does leave you open to something like this. Four Zoomers are going to come in with the Huskar, so now it's so concerning, right? The Burning Spears will be
Oh,
on that TA. You've got the Rolling Thunder, you've got Silences, so your TA can't just stand in place and do damage. I think the cut may have been a little bit baited. Obviously, it still comes down to execution, but just looking at the drafts right now, I think Four Zoomers have put themselves in a very, very favorable spot.
My question, I don't even know what I'm looking at, if I'm being honest here. Of course, Scourge and Kits can both play TA, so it could get shifted around. But the bigger question mark is the Husker now going to follow him around? Is it not going to be just the one-to-one counter? Because at the same time, picking Huskar blind into your matchup is more or less unheard of unless you've really zeroed in on your mid bans, and Four Zoomers have definitely done that. But I really wonder now, is Gunnar gonna chase around the TA lane wise, or are we going to see possibly him stay on it? Four Zoomers have so many different ways they can take their heroes at this point, or I think the cut are way more limited in their rotations. Not to mention, they don't even have last pick here. So they're really gonna have to kind of clear the board with this next pickup. But I feel like they need another stun. They need someone to play with whenever this Tide Ravage is off cooldown. And the TA, as much as it may play well versus Chen, I don't know if that's it. I think that's where for Zoomers, they ban out some of those initiators. If we do see this TA go into the mid lane, yeah, they're banning out carries, because if this TA is forced to play mid because you need an initiator, what mid initiator can you play to now kind of fix your draft? I think four Zoomers have done a really smart job.
Yeah, it really just feels like they have taken a draft that responds well to what the cut wanted to do without necessarily being 100% reactionary, right? We had an issue with that in some of the previous games where teams just kind of only drafted based on what they were seeing out from the other side, and it doesn't really give you a cohesive game plan of your own other than just don't let the other team do what they want, which, yeah, welcome to Dota. That's kind of how it works. So, Four Zoomers maintaining strength while also putting themselves in a position to kind of shut down what the cut are going to want to put together, but we'll see. Maybe there's a miracle pick here. Maybe something works out. Four Zoomers did actually split the bans there right at the end, following up the CK with the removal of the Timber Saw. So they're not 100% sure what's going to be going down here, but still feels like they're in a better position than you would otherwise expect.
Yeah, and I'm really racking my brain honestly about this Huskar pick because, okay, the blood got changed again. It's back almost to the old blood. Not the same level. You're not going to be 90% magic resistance as you were in the olden days of Huskar, but hey, 10, 15, 20, 25 is nothing to scoff at. Not to mention that now you kind of have an answer to the magic harass. You're not going to get popped nearly as easily as whenever Huskar was unpickable. You still got popped, and
Okay.
okay, they pick a mid laner and they're going to throw the TA in the safe lane. But that's the question that I wonder how four Zoomers will now answer. Is the Husker going to chase them around? Are we going to see an odd position here? I feel like with the way things are set up, it would definitely be the most normal to send the Death Prophet and the Pango together and then just send the Husker mid regardless. But with the way they ban things out, I think they almost think this is going to be a Coast of Eli Huskar, which is really interesting. And I don't know if they'd even want to do that because Huskar does not have, I don't believe, the best base armor. So laning versus Tide Sky could get a little bit dicey. But again, that's where four Zoomers, they must know something that we don't, because they've picked up this lineup in a very interesting way. And they've got Chen Huskar. They are so durable. Every single member of their team, even the Pango, once he gets the roll off, is really difficult to deal with. That's where on the opposing side, I think the Storm Spirit's going to need to go for Orchid. He's going to have to go for that item build and then just play a really tight game. And then if four Zoomers get too much gold to deal with that Orchid, we might see a big problem. In
Oh,
Troll, okay.
okay. There's an idea forming in my head that's too stupid for me to actually say out loud, so I'll wait and see if it happens before I say anything else. But Troll Warlord pick, it's looking pretty good. Okay, no, we're not going that crazy, but that does give them really just more durability. You talked about already with Death Prophet and Shen, you're not going to be able to easily break through this lineup. Now there's a Troll Warlord. I don't know. It just feels like there's now hold on a second. Scourge is playing Tidehunter.
I
Are
see
they
that.
swapping positions, or is this some sort of attempt at a carry Tide?
I think that this is a Mr. Scourge McDuck saying DNM, young gun, kid, take the TA. DNM might be better at TA. We'll see if he's able to pull out a win here. Definitely got counterpicked by the Troll Warlord. TA can't really do anything versus the Troll Warlord ulti. I can only imagine we're going to see DNM go for the Ags just because if he's ever caught, he's dead. That plain and simple. That's how this lineup works. At the same time, though, picking Troll into Scarith Mage is a little bit terrifying just because there's always that chance that you get silenced after BKB. You're a BKB carry, right? And one of the most bound carries to that BKB, where we've seen what Scarith Mages can do after the timer's up, what they're capable of, and I think that picking Troll almost purposely into that, it's a little bit sketchy. Not to mention that you're not going to see Gunnar trips around and try and track down that TA in the laning stage, so we'll have to see how these lanes kind of end up going, because now, well, it's Storm versus Huskar. That's whatever. That's a fine matchup. Maybe a little bit better for the Huskar now that you do have that magic resistance to play with, but we'll have to see. Gunnar's a fantastic laner. I could definitely see him going kind of toe-to-toe with Kits here, but at the same time, it's been so long since I've seen a Huskar mid.
We'll have to see exactly how that lane sort of plays out. We've mentioned previously Gunnar, has a bit of a tendency to win matchups where you didn't really expect him to, so he could play aggressively against the Storm Spirit and could maybe sort of get one over against said Storm, but there's so much right now going into this game that just is frankly a little hard to predict. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see as well who actually ends up going where, because I'm pretty sure it is, as you said, Scourge just sort of handing over his usual carry position to DNM in this instance. So it's for a bit of an interesting situation. So too is this. The cut, they're just gonna push right on across the river. Gunnar is the first one they run into. They'll hit him up with a double slow. That's a lot of damage, but look at the pushback from that inner fire. This is gonna backfire. Scourge is now gonna get taken down, and of all the heroes you could have run into, it's the one that can knock literally every single member of that assault party back.
Yeah, not the best offlane debut, but at the same time, baby steps, as really just unfortunate timing. Also, just really smart from Gunnar to immediately, like, not even tempt fate there. Just get the 4-man inner fire, just knock them all back, set them up, knock them down. I think at the same time, Husky getting Penitence level 1 is fairly interesting. Of course, the skill gives you the attack speed, it's still decent for trading, but in that respect, Divine Favor has been kind of the thing you go for just because of the armor and the HP regen that you give to your laning partner. It's like giving them a free headdress and Bassi at the same time. And okay.
There's the Penitence, though, coming into play a little bit late, actually. I think maybe they could have thrown it when Overlom was a little bit further into the river. Not sure if it would have been enough to matter, but as it stands...
Oh, they got him.
Hold on. Yeah, they've got the angle. Sabla can cut through the tree here as well. He'll actually go around it, but it won't matter. I think they should still have the kill. 1 or 2 more hits, and... Okay. That is very interesting, but now for Husky, it's still a weird skill build, but Penitence has helped get 1 kill, or 1 assist and 1 kill there directly, and hard to argue with the results at the end of the day.
Yeah, and they've also inverted their lanes here. Ghostabilia is going to be laning bottom versus DNM. Very interesting to see that they're choosing to lane the Chen into the TA. Of course, having these Psyblades is going to be something that Husky has to manage, but at the same time, I think more so the swap is for the other side of the map, where Mu now gets to lane versus a strength hero with the Spirit Siphon, so it's just going to do so much more for him.
Yeah, it's bottom lane, you see Overlom. He's going to do everything he can here as the Omni Knight, but he's got 1 point in hammer right now. It can be annoying, sure, but I don't really know if this duo are really ever going to be able to set up for anything of significance in this lane. It really just feels like DNM's going to sit back and try to farm, and Overlom's job is to distract as much as humanly possible.
No, and he's going to do a decent job. I mean, that's why this hero is kind of back, is because of the Hammer of Purity. He's just very, very obnoxious. It's actually a spell that he can use to trade. Giving Omni a ranged spell that does damage is an interesting way for the game to be changed. But aside from that, though, with the way that the towers are set up, we always talk about this. It's very easy for Ghostabilia to just bring it under tower and not really get contested too hard here. And Harpy, Husky got his creep.
Chain Lightning's going to be a pain in the ass now for the cut as they start to take that damage. Speaking of damage, though, up in the top lane, Moo run down into the tree line. Z-Freak is very far away in that instance and didn't have a swashbuckle because he's still only level 1, so couldn't close the gap. Moo gets taken down, and oh, that's something I think this duo from the cut is really going to be able to do. Tide and Skywrath don't really get paired up crazy often in recent times, but they've got 2 slows. They've got a decent amount of damage against someone like the Death Prophet, who is not quite at that usual tanky position just yet. This early on, there's still some vulnerabilities.
No, definitely, and man, there's just so much damage and HP traded in this bottom lane, and DNM, well, he's going to run down a little bit. But Husky, he's getting hit up. It's the Hammer of Purity. Seriously, does a lot of damage. It's very efficient, but that's also we're getting lucky with the Harpy is just very unfortunate for the cut, and it's just dropping the ball just a second there with Overwhelm, just not realizing that Husky was going to be in this lane, I think, until he actually ended up dying. So it's not like there was anyone to actually block out that small camp, but Husky seeing where the Omni Knight has gone, he's able to get the bounty for himself. Just really nice support play from him, like always.
Always talk about it now since the patch dropped. That dire offlane position just really has it, and I've mentioned it before. It's supposed to be relatively symmetrical, but the dire offlaner has a clearer path. You see the bounty rune spawning on the opposing side. It's supposed to be in an equivalent position. You just don't see the 4 on the other side going for it, as Overlom is going to get run down and taken out. Costabile gets the kill. DNM now has to fall back to the tower, and this bottom lane is not particularly fun. You look at DNM last hit-wise, 13-1. That's the equivalent of Scourge in the off lane. So you're not getting shut out entirely, but this is not exactly a favorable lane for the TA so far, especially with the support dying twice. And Overlom comes back. I mean, he does have some items to sort of pass off here, but that's a silver lining to what's kind of a poor situation right now.
Man, really, the biggest disparity right now is just look at Gunnar. He is just wiping the floor right now with kits. He's doing the CC&C as well, where he's just staticking the wave on his tower. And with one less rune to play around, Kits doesn't really have that many good options. So he's just kind of watching Gunnar CS. Gunner's going to get that level advantage, and we're going to get to a point.
19.
Yeah, it's real bad. And once you hit level 6 on the Huskar, the Kits' only option is to just farm his 6 by himself in the jungle. Then maybe he can hazard to show up back mid, but it's a lot of time and it's a lot of energy that he really can't afford to spend. Meanwhile, Gunnar really doesn't have an equal right now. And up on his level 6, he's going to try to force the creep wave maybe in a little bit further, but 29-21, it's like a Dendi performance right now. He's just focusing the denies just as much as the last hits, and there's nothing that really Kits can do. He's just playing Jungle Storm at this point.
Yeah, you kind of lost your mid lane in the first 5 minutes, and yeah, shades of vintage Dendi here from Gunnar, just absolutely dominant. At this point, it's a realistic possibility that he could have more denies than Kits has last hits, as Z-Freak did get into a bit of trouble, but he's able to swashbuckle away, and with Gunnar coming over, this isn't a fight you want, but there's the life break onto B-God, and, well, yeah, get some damage, I guess, knock Husky down a little bit, but there was really nothing to be done there. Gunnar gets the kill, and, well, the homeless Storm Spirit sort of carries on here, as he just has to keep rotating through the jungle, because you can't stay in lane, and when you tried to farm that west side jungle, Four Zoomers really came after him.
Well, and here's the other problem. He's not the only one without a home. DNM is already rotated out of his lane as well, so they're going to start stepping on each other's toes. Someone's got to come back, and I'm sure you're going to get great levels on your Omni Knight right now, but it just feels like this is all coming too fast. I don't feel like the cut really have enough space to work with at the current moment, while Four Zoomers are just really dominating all 3 lanes. There's no other way to put it.
Just imagine the team comms right now. Overlom's like, guys, no, but I'm...
Oh, Gunnar.
Gonna get taken down. Okay. That will absolutely help to pull that back a little bit. I don't think it gets Kits fully back into the middle lane once Gunnar respawns, but that is a much-needed kill, and at the same time, DNM is back bot. That may not be a good thing, though, because Z-Freak has rotated in. They are looking for some sort of fight here, but how far under the tower are they willing to dive? The answer is not very far. Costabile doesn't want to go all the way in. He has hit level 6, but he didn't get a point into the ult yet, so he would rather save that for really as long as he can. But now DNM has to try and farm under tower, but here comes Moo. Exo popped. They want the fight now. And DNM, can he TP out? Yes, he can. So, good news is TA escapes. Bad news is this tower's gone.
Yeah, and that is the one drawback of 4 Zoomers. Really, no stuns. Unless you get a first hit root there, TPing away from them is honestly very easy to do. They need to itemize for that. Probably going to see some fast Yule Scepters, but at the same time, being able to dodge that out, we'll see how they defend their top tower here. They should probably defend it. Yeah, Zephyr's going to come and try to drag the creep wave, but I still actually have to be very careful. If he goes a little bit too soon, then he could just get ravaged, die with DNM, just hitting him up with the meld strike. But the cut are really putting a lot of emphasis up here. They're really bringing everyone to just ensure that this will give a little bit more space. But a Zephyr's not the easiest pick, and if you're going to hide in the trees, he might just be able to walk away. Kits needs to find the pole. Oh,
perfect timing just as he was starting the swashbuckle. So, well, the Cutter making the plays that they need to right now. Still leaves them trailing by quite a bit, but they're able to find a kill. They can get this tower, and now they needed this kind of space because, you know, mid's kind of a rough scenario. Bot's basically lost in terms of ground that they're actually able to safely farm. So you open up some more room to operate in that north side jungle at a time when you desperately need it.
Yeah, and that's where still have Ravage. You still have some tools on the cut. Scourge's game has really been the most untouched. Of course, he was laning versus Moo, but that at the end of the day is just a draw, more or less, offlane versus offlane. What they do versus the next Exorcism is really going to be important for the cut. Losing bottom tower, that's fine, that's inevitable. Losing mid tower, that's a fight that they could very likely try and hold, but the problem is if they commit to a fight and then they lose it regardless, they could see themselves even further behind. But they need that mid tower to stay alive as long as it can, because you look over at DNM's triangle, once that goes down, then there's really no safe place for him to farm. He'll constantly need to be bouncing between the top wave and the mid wave then, and then where does your Storm Spirit go? He's just kind of stuck on his lonesome.
Need to just really hold their ground right now. It sounds simple, and, you know, in theory it is, but in terms of actual practice, make it a little bit tougher. As we've got a couple of DCs here. B-God dropped out. He's back in fairly quickly, and I think there is a reconnect attempt from Kits. There we go. Getting back in. So, a couple of players dropping out on the side of the cut, but we are good to go and get back into this one. But while we wait, I do want to take a look back at Gunner here in terms of the itemization. Went for the double bracers, working now towards the armlet. So the build for the Huskar, at least in the early stages, has not changed massively with the patch compared to what we were used to seeing before, right?
No, still basically the same. I almost hazard to say maybe after the armlet we could see an Orchid, but a part of me also feels like after armlet, just get a BKB. Once you get BKB, this game is so simple for you. Afterwards, you just need to itemize some armor to deal with the TA. And speaking of the TA, nice little stack going on here, and a very well-timed smoke for the cut as well. So even if 4 Zoomers were aware of it, there's already a counterplay being proposed here. They would love to find Z-Freak, and they don't have 6 on B-God, but they did prove before that they have enough damage, especially with the maxed out static remnant. If Z-Freak gets clipped, could very well die, but unfortunately they will have to give up on that play and kind of split across the map.
Down bot, Overlom, well, he's getting into a little bit of trouble. He was rooted up underneath where the tower used to be, but he is getting himself out of here. We've got the boots, so he's a little bit faster than some of those pursuing heroes, as he's just trying at this point to find a safe TP point, I would guess, as he is going to go for it. And yeah, if you're Husky, big pull movement is nice, but you still didn't have any cancel, so able to get the Omni Knight out of there. Gunner, though, has now finished off the armlet, and well, ET will see what the next play is for him. He's going to finish up the boots first, but will we carry on with the trend of basically everybody buys an Orchid in the new patch, or will it be something else as he's eyeing up the middle lane? They don't actually get Scourge initially. Gunner thought about it. He was in life break range for a moment there, but now the TA TP's in. Scourge is just going to drop the Ravage. Oh, he hit everyone. 5-man Ravage. Moo's dead already. Gunner gonna have to run, or maybe not. Tries to turn around with the inner fire. Costabile coming in on the back line, but It's just too much for them to fight into right now. They didn't do the damage. That Ravage just staggers them for too long. And it's just one kill, but it's a big kill, and it breaks up a potential push onto that mid-tier 1.
Yeah, and that's the trade they really needed. They needed to get rid of Ravage, and they also needed to take the Exorcism in this mid defense. Now, yeah, after Scourge, McNuck kind of gets his HP and mana back, he can just stay here until the next Exorcism, and until Zoomers kind of make their next play. That's perfect. That's a lot of time bought. That's another kind of stunted push here, and whenever those pushes fail, it just means that the cut gets to finish off a few more of those items. Kits also is not playing around. He's got 3 nulls. He has got the build where he is just going to have the mana to actually make those long jumps. Really does a lot more damage as well with all the spell amp. That also happened before Husky was able to farm up his level 6, so maybe with that we could have seen perhaps a bigger turnaround, but still rough. And okay, Costabile.
Big kill if they can get it. They've got it. Mystic Flare in well before a Battle Trance can come out, and well, here come the cut, starting to string together some very favorable plays. Kits does need to sort of top off on mana here, but that's a nice pickup. DD rune for him. Obviously on the Storm, it's maybe not quite as effective as some other heroes with the double damage, but it refills the bottle, and it means Kits doesn't have to actually take that step back. They could look for another play. How long till the Mystic Flare? About 30 seconds. So maybe they want to wait it out just so that they have that extra bit of damage to work with, but Zoomers don't want to give them that much time. They're pushing back in mid again, even without the Exorcism, just trying to kind of barrel their way through it, and should be able to finish it off.
Yeah, as soon as they see the creeps, unless DNM wants to show up to this and just attempt to right-click the creeps, there's no point. There's no Ravage. It's just the tower already being poked a little bit too low from whenever Kits had left earlier on. But hey, you lost your tower 13 minutes into the game instead of 10 minutes of the game. That's real time that you can feel, as well as they still need to be postured around their triangle to allow DNM to still continue moving forward item-wise. But this game is going to quickly become around who gets that first Aegis. If the cut can somehow manage that, then DNM honestly doesn't need to be too scared. He actually gets to farm pretty much the whole map without fear. Whereas for Zoomers, it's the same story. That's what allows Gunner to actually get up onto these buildings and feel way more confident when it comes to these pushes. And both teams can take it so incredibly quickly. And this is pre-Deso, but okay, they saw a bunch of Zoomers heroes make their way towards that bottom lane, but this could almost be an even easier layup for Zoomers, because if they get scared of the fight on the cut, then Zoomers can just easily come in and take it for themselves. This is a huge risk.
They got the scan. Here comes Z-Freak looking to roll his way in. The cut, they don't actually scatter in time. They're just going to get battered around inside of the pit. Losing one hero already as Overwhelm will fall. Scourge finally gets off the Ravage, and it is a big one. They take down Moo, but they need more. The Hand of God comes out. That's going to top everyone off as they push in. Root onto DNM. Penitence now to slow him down. No refraction, no mana, no life. As for Zoomers, well, the way is open for them. Now they can finish off the Roche that the cut started, and oh boy, he tried, he didn't get it, he's now dead. That timing wasn't that bad, but
first hit root on Costabile. That's tough stuff. That's real rough.
Oh man, a couple of tips in the aftermath as well, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can tip him. He ends up dying, but that's a play you gotta try, right?
Yeah, and I don't even feel too bad for the cut. You can't be a remiss just because you saw them all walk towards bottom. You knew kind of what their rotations were, but that's where for Zoomers, they're just like, oh, hey, are they actually in Roche? Yeah, they're actually in Roche. Okay, let's win the fight. And that was, again, with exactly what they needed to do with the Ravage. They kill Moo right off the bat. They have to continuously commit more and more, which is a little bit sad. He ate both the Mystic Flare, half of the Storm's mana pool, and the Ravage, and they really weren't able to kill anybody else in that timing. But that's also just partly because DNM is still not ready. They went into the pit knowing he didn't have a Deso, and unfortunately that forcing play, it's kind of par for the course. You went into the pit versus for Zoomers. Fantastic roll from Z-Freak to top it off as well.
Oh yeah, Z-Freak, without that roll, I mean, I'm not sure how much that happens. And I said at the start of the fight, almost in passing, that the cut didn't really get out of the pit in time. They didn't scatter the way they needed to, so that Rolling Thunder hits 3, 4 heroes, knocks them around, buys that little extra second or two so that Zoomers can get the rest of the damage into position. So I'm not really sure. The cut, Don't know at the time if they had actual vision on that high ground. Maybe that's part of the reason why they reacted a little bit more slowly. They didn't actually see Z-Freak until he was close enough to just go in anyway.
It's tough, and look at this. They're already on the tier 3, and the Cut are not respecting their opponents right now, and unfortunately, hey, Gunner's got an Aegis. They're still scrambling for their items here. He doesn't even have TP on Storm yet. I can only imagine Kids is going to head back now, but it's already too late. Your Rax is gone. This is a 16-minute Rax into the game, and there's really nothing they can do. They can't throw everything at Gunner because they lose the following fight, but this is a tough pill to swallow right now. This is Deso finished, but at the same time, how do you actually get in here? You got a Blink Dagger on Scourge, so they look for the follow-up fight, but I don't know if they're going to find anything. They need to catch him here, but the ward's already placed. They could honestly lose this fight into a tier 2, into another Rax if they're not careful with their
Scourge
spells.
popped. Got the vision. Gunner's looking. He doesn't know if he wants to go in just yet, but the Cut, you just have to bail. This play is not going to go the way that you need it to now.
Oh, and there's no creep wave cut. Kiss wasn't able to make it to the wave. They cut him off in time, so it's right back on your buildings. The pressure's immediate back on, and okay, they're on their own high ground, but
gotta be very careful. That ward does get taken down, but it was able to scout it out, and yeah, now maybe you do something here, but it can't be Scourge who jumps in. If he pops the Ravage, there's still the Aegis, so Gunner, I mean, you want to take him down, obviously, but yes, this is how you need to kill him. Get him without the Ravage first. Z-Freak, though, is rolling in, so the Ravage may have to wait. He'll go for it now, though. Deploying it. Gunner was hit by it, and maybe they've got a chance. They're going to try and turn this fight around. Guardian Angel from Overlong coming up huge. Gunner will fall. Mood dead as well. Zip forward from Kits onto Z-Freak, looking to find any further kills at the Pangolier. Really doesn't have a swashbuckle yet. He's going to try to get away, and it looks like he will make it out. So too will the Troll. Yeah, because Abele was able to get himself away with the TP. So they mitigate the damage. They're only losing those two, but those are two massive heroes to lose. Gunner, I know what they were trying to do, but the Cut don't take the bait. Scourge holds the Ravage, and it works out perfectly for them.
no, super patient. Being able to kill Gunner the first time with only really receiving the roll in tow is incredibly important there. You get to Ravage on the second life. You get to go for the turnaround. And again, it's not just ravaging Gunner the second time around. It's killing Moo at the beginning of these fights. And Moo is not tanky right now. He's gone for this Atos as opposed to a BKB immediately, as opposed to a Hood. So he is very thin right now, even though he has the Essence Ring. And, well, unfortunately, that means that yet again they get an immediate return. They are doing a really fine job of always killing that Death Prophet off as quickly as they can, even though before, Four Zoomers were able to carry the fight regardless, but that's also where I think Four Zoomers kind of checked themselves there. If they had waited for BKBs, which were being completed on both Costabile and Gunner very soon, they could have probably spun that in their favor, but instead they get caught maybe 500 gold before their timing, pushing a tower that they really did kind of a poor job of pushing, and now the momentum shifts because DNM is top of the leaderboard and working very quickly towards his BKB, and that is a huge game changer.
Yeah, if the TA can just go in and start hacking away and dishing out that damage without having to worry about the follow-up, then these fights can change so dramatically for the Cut. They're going to be able to just get onto a target and stick on it. So for Zoomers, I mean, not really sure you're going to be able to get to that TA before that BKB is finished off, but at least they now have a BKB of their own on Gunner's Huskar. So a scenario like the one we just saw where he's immediately picked off becomes a little bit less likely.
No, they can definitely kind of bide their time here. They can definitely wait. Now that they've got their prerequisite BKBs, the likelihood that they get caught and killed by the members of the Cut is much lower, but at the same time, what we felt right there is during this window where there was no Ravage, Four Zoomers didn't look for revenge. They didn't look for the push. They actually had to back off and respect the Cut. And I feel like we're going to need to see more of that from Four Zoomers. Unless they could just get that 9 out of 10, I want to say Rolling Thunder coming in from Z-Freak, they still need to be very careful because, yet again, as much as we can praise their early game, they are stunless. They are bound to what Z-Freak can kind of pull off, as well as really what Costabile can find, but Costabile is a smart troll player. He's very wise. He's not going to go into a fight that he doesn't think he can walk out of, which means that I don't think Costabile is going to show up to necessarily every fight, and with his build-up, no Battle Fury, he has to work for his items, so deaths really set him far behind.
Which is even more incentive for him to maybe not push into a lot of these engagements. So the pace of play could potentially start to slow for four Zoomers, which is a little bit strange, considering, they've got the Huskar, they've got the Pangolier, two heroes that really don't like to kind of sit back and wait in a lot of circumstances, but not sure if they have much of a choice right now. But while they wait, the cut are going to start to build up. We talked about DNM obviously coming along, but well, you look at Kits, the recovery is underway. Let's put it that way, right? He's got himself a triple null. He's got the Kai Assange, still pretty far behind the sort of main cores up the top net worth-wise, but once we hit that 25-minute mark, these null talismans start getting a little bit better, and that might just be enough of a bump up for the Storm to keep him relevant.
Really, what I'm most interested in is whether we just see kind of the boring play, which would be he just gets a BKB next, or if we'll see the Storm Spirit go for, again, the Bloodstone, which I really feel like they kind of axed the Bloodstone in the back, because now you're buying it for, like, spell lifesteal. I think that's why we don't see it bought as much, because if you really just want health and mana, there are just better options. But at the same time, if you want more spell amp and more mana loss, then you have to buy an Ethereal Blade on Storm, and well, that kind of ruins your kit, so you can't do that. It makes you wonder what the next item in the progression is going to be. Could even be a Shiva's Guard for all we know, but I think BKB might be more likely, just so that way you don't have to be afraid of Moo. Even though Moo has been dying pretty early on in these fights, all it takes is one silence for you to immediately lose the team fight, because your Storm's silenced for 7 seconds.
Meantime, extended timer on the Roche respawn as Husky does scout it out, still about 1.5 minutes away, so not gonna see the two squads really scrambling around the Roche pit just yet, but it is worth noting, until they sort of confirm that Roche hadn't respawned, four Zoomers are spending a lot of time in this north side jungle. Now they're going to potentially start looking for kits, maybe try to knock the Storm Spirit out here, or if nothing else, maybe just push up to that tier 1 tower that is still standing 23 minutes in, so a heavy presence in this top lane. We'll see what they can do.
And they do. Oh, they're looking for kits. Does he react? He doesn't.
Down. Can they kill him off? He is silenced, but the Guardian Angel comes out. They're just trying to get him any sort of angle to get away as Scourge does drop down the Ravage. Just isn't enough. Kits will still fall. Z-Freak is sacrificed, but it is full steam ahead for four Zoomers. They will take down B-God. Can they catch up to anyone else? Yes, they can. Overlong hit up by the inhibit from the Diffusal. They'll be able to just chunk their way through his HP bar. And Kits just needed to react that second faster, and I think he could have zipped all the way out of there. Instead, four Zoomers spring the trap. They get the 3 kills, they get the tower, and they want the tier 2 as well. Moose still got time on the Exo, so they're going to be able to claim both of the objectives.
And until that point, they did such a good job of towing the line, but that's your double BKB on the cores. You get separated, you don't immediately get the trade onto Moo, and that's the first Ravage where they got nothing back, and yeah, that's BKB. Oh!
Whoa!
What?
The side blade hit!
Yeah.
Oh, Gunnar wasn't quite paying attention on that one, and yeah, now they want in, because Stablade's going to get hit up by the Electric Vortex, pulled in. Battle Trance, though, does come out, but do four Zoomers really want to get into this fight to try and help him? They don't really have much of a choice. They've got to turn around, and they will get it. Scourge goes down, but Patrol will still fall. The problem now is getting Kits away from the fight. Moo is able to hit him up with the Atos, but Moo doesn't have any mana left. He doesn't have any health either. The Siphon isn't enough. He will fall, and Z-Freak, that is way too late on the Rolling Thunder. He's just got to use it to get away.
Oh, man. It's starting to happen. That was a really nice play from DNM, not to mention that Roche just respawned. So, honestly, they could push into the pit right now. They have the Crystallis. It's going to die so much faster. He also just got level 20 as well. Everything just went in the favor of DNM, if anyone else. That's huge. And if they're able to get the shard on him, everything is kind of come to fruition here.
Actually, he took the Dispel on Meld at 20. So, not really going to help in the Roche attempt, but he's got more than enough damage to really just do this, as long as he doesn't get bashed to hell. And, well, not getting bashed. Four Zoomers are moving towards this.
They want him twice. Oh, that's a nice lucky shot.
Gotta go. Gunner's in. BKB active. He's going to use the Inner Fire. Can he get the Aegis? Yes, he can. He grabbed it. He stole it away. DNM's now going to die without the second life to work with in the cut. Oh, boy, that's about as bad as it could have possibly gone for them. Not really sure who grabbed. I think there was a shard in there somewhere, but at this point, it doesn't matter. That Aegis not only not getting picked up by your TA, who really just laid out entirely to try and get it, you don't get the Aegis. You then lose the TA. You lose the fight, and at this point, for Zoomers, they might have to wait a little bit for a creep wave coming up behind them. Actually, no, they still have the remnants of one further up the lane. They can push high ground right now.
Oh my goodness! And if you're the cut hopeful, that's it right there. Just the clicking battle doesn't end up in your favor. DNM was already getting pressured up by that Rolling Thunder, but man, Gunner's just too quick. I believe they got the shard as well. Yeah, he gets the shard and then instead of the Aegis, and then everything changes because of that. And well, you only got one Rax left. There's one more mistake left in the game before I think 4 Zoomers would just take it. But man, oh man, that's soul crushing for DNM.
Scourge, good job there. Trying to cut the creep wave a little bit to make sure that push into the middle lane does not come yet. And it is going to delay things, but as you said, soul crushing. If you get that Aegis, well, who knows, right? DNM may still go down because he used about 95% of his HP bar just to get in there, but if he comes back up with full health and mana, maybe that fight turns around. DNM is the sort of primary damage dealer on the side of the cut, and like I said, I don't know if the Aegis in his hands wins them the fight, but without it, it was a guaranteed loss.
Yeah. Now it's just
BKB into the hand of God. They're going to turn around. They have the disarm down to DNM. That's going to force out his own BKB, but he was already disarmed before, so it's not removed, and it's just a defensive BKB usage.
Yeah. At the very least, they got Costabiles as well, so sticking around this area is a little bit riskier. Scourge's Ravage will definitely do more, but we need to have that same situation played in the mid lane. Get Gunner first, and then Ravage the second life. Seafreak, he's postured, he's ready, he's raring to go here. At the same time, if they find DNM with the battle trance, he is just caught and dead. There's no way out for him.
They're standing on the board, though. There's going to be the Ravage deployed. They're looking to take out Kasavli first. Can they get him? No. Battle trance is going to be activated. Scourge now getting rooted up. Knocked down, taken out. Guardian Angel is out too late. It's going to still be helpful, but it wasn't enough to save the day. Overlom is just trapped up in the middle of the fight. Should be taken down, but they want more than that. Oh boy. Then that Omni. They don't manage to get all the way into the base, though, but I'm not sure that's going to matter. They found the kills that they needed. The Ravage has now been used. Neither of those two dead heroes has buyback, and they're right back up looking for the Mega Creeps. And at this point, I don't know. Kits is going to try something, zipping his way through, trying to clear through the creeps, but there's a mech coming into play, healing all of it up. Push will continue. Tier 3 tower gone. Melee rack's going to be taken. DNM in trouble, dropping low. Not dead yet, but I don't think he can survive this. He burned through the Aegis at least, but the DOT is actually not going to be enough to kill him, so he will escape. But now he needs to heal up in the fountain. That means Kits has to be the distraction. No. That's a bad distraction. That's just dying. That's not really all that distracting. As Kits gets taken down, and now there's the buyback. They need him back in. They're going to go after Gunner. They got through his first life. Can they get the second? No. If they had the Ravage, maybe, but it's just not going to be enough. Scourge can't do anything there. The racks will be taken. And Kits, okay. Zips far enough forward to get Z-Freak there, but you are okay with that Scourge. Whoa. That's very far forward with not a lot of backup. They're going to try to heal him up, but he's still dropping. With the silence on him, there's not a whole lot he can do, but now Kits trying to get in. They're going to jump onto Mood. Do they have the damage? No, they don't. Now Gustable coming in with the roots and the bashes. Kits really has to be careful. RNG could just do him in right now. Looks like he's going to zip far enough away to make it. Overlaw, meanwhile, just sort of stepping in, trying to act as, again, the distraction while DNM does the damage. And they do get Gunner, but now DNM's in trouble. He's going to use the Hurricane Pike to create the separation. That means Gustavo can't immediately kill him off, but the root still comes in. The bash coming in now as well. The TA is just dead. That is TA dead with no buyback. That is Scourge now dead as well. No buyback. Can they now do... Nope. No, they can't. Never mind. Didn't even get to ask. GG will be called. And the cut... Well, they gave it an attempt, right? You can't argue against that, but at the end of the day, 4 Zoomers just sort of outperform them, and that steal in the pit ET really just took the wind out of the cut sails.
Yeah, and really, you kind of got to praise the cut. They were never playing to lose in this game. They were never on autopilot, just doing what they can, you know, suiciding on the side lanes, playing the sacrificial lamb almost. They knew their outs, and they played their outs several times in this game. But it all comes back to the pressure that was just kind of compounding on them, starting in the top lane, getting caught on kits, and then just everyone really just the expenditure of the Ravage to try and win the fight afterwards. That was the big mistake that kind of ended up costing them pretty much everything. Then everything turns around, then DNM almost carries the game, and just that Roche, it's so rough. It's so hard to call. It's so hard to even prepare for anything like that. Man, it's just they played exactly how they needed to maybe win, but that's where a team like Four Zoomers, they're going to hold you to it. They're going to beat you down when they can. I think they really quickly, again, we talk about adaptability when we talk about squads that have been together as long as Four Zoomers, where they just knew what was going wrong. They immediately tried to shift it up once we headed into the higher stakes portions of that game. And what a low kill game as well, in all things considered. It just meant that you felt the weight of every death to a certain point, because 15 minutes into the game, everybody was pretty much fine. It was like 6 to 8, I want to say, the cut versus Four Zoomers, and then all of their deaths were on Overlum. If anyone, it didn't really matter all too much, but that's where Four Zoomers, when they really wanted to, they really turned up the heat. But man, the cut had some good plays to keep them in it, though, especially those fast deaths on the move. Just couldn't keep it together.
And this is the thing that's a little unfortunate, right? You'll have people, you know, they'll see the Twitter post, or they'll pull up Liquipedia, they'll see the cut sitting here with just one win, and they'll think, wow, this team got just kind of trashed in every single game. That's not quite the case. Yeah, a lot of the games for the cut have been blowouts, that you can't really deny that, but tucked in there among some of those just blowout losses are games like this where you see the team's potential. You see the team come sort of that close to pulling it off, to getting something to go in their favor, but to this point they haven't actually been able to hit that mark that they needed. But they're getting close in a lot of circumstances. Fortunately for them, close to a win doesn't actually get you points in that score column. But they put up a decent fight in that first game, and I think there's something for them to hang their hats on heading into game 2 now. Sure, they lost this match, but I think somewhere in the back of their minds, they're aware of the fact that, listen, in the right circumstances, we can go toe-to-toe with Four Zoomers. We might be able to do this, and they are now down to their last chance, ET, because if they don't win this next game, they're done. They're going to be eliminated.
Yeah, it's literally for them, it's a best of one. Not just that, it's a best of one, and then their future's not even in their own hands. It's still up to dogship at that point, but this is still just the survival story, if anything. But we'll have to see if they can actually kind of pull the rug out from underneath Four Zoomers. I don't even know if this was Four Zoomers' best strat, to be honest, so I'm a little bit scared for them coming into game 2, but we'll see what they decide to change up, because at the draft, we were already hesitant to say that the cut were going to be able to pull them out, but through their kind of blood, sweat, and tears, almost did it. Almost.
So, one last time, once more into the abyss, do or die time for the cut. Win, and maybe you live to see another day. Lose, and you are done. So, there's nothing left. No more pocket stress. No more saving anything. You go all in. We'll see if it's enough. The cut fighting for their lives is game 2. Will be coming up in about 10 minutes. So stick around. We'll see if they can pull it off.